Hello and welcome to your English news broadcast live on ERi-TV. It's exactly 10:30 p.m. on Eritrea's local Greenwich from our headquarters at Asmara with your domestic and international news in brief. I'm Zahra Badouri, but first we'll begin with your major headlines for this broadcast. An announcement from the Ministry of Health. Ambassador Mohammed Suleiman held talks with Ugandan Foreign Minister. EU postpones long-planned trade talks with Australia over submarine raw. North Korea says its tests fired new anti-aircraft missiles. Welcome to your domestic in brief. 3 patients who have been receiving medical treatment in hospitals in the central region have recovered fully and have been discharged from these facilities. The total number of recovered patients has accordingly risen to 6,638, while the number of deaths still stands at 42. The total number of confirmed cases in the country to date stands at 6,722. Ministry of Health, Asmara, 1st October 2021. The Eritrean ambassador to the Republic of Uganda, Mr. Mohammed Suleiman, met and held talks on the 29th of September with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Uganda, General Al-Haj Abubakar Owandogo JJ, on strengthening bilateral relations. At the meeting held in Kampala, Ambassador Mohammed and Foreign Minister General Abubakar Odongo JJ, commanding the progress of the relations between Eritrea and Uganda, they agreed to further consolidate the bilateral ties. The two sides also discussed and exchanged views on the regional and global development of interest on the two countries, particularly development in the Horn of Africa, stating that Eritrean nationals residing in Uganda are contributing in the economic development of the country. The Foreign Minister, General Al-Haj Abubakar Odango JJ, expressed conviction that the government of Uganda will extend due support to the Eritrean nationals within the country. On your final domestic, the governor of the northern Red Sea region, Mrs. Asmarat Abraha, conducted a tour of inspection in Galalo subzone with the view to boost the activities of the social services provision institutions. During the tour of inspection conducted on 27th and 28th of September, Mrs. Asmarat visited schools, health services, provision institutions, and water supply facilities in Badda, Galalo suburban center, and Barodole administrative area, and discussed with heads of concerned institutions and village elders on measures to be taken in the alleviation of the challenges being encountered. At the meeting, the governor stating that the student school enrollment does not match with the huge investment made on the education sector in the area, called on the public to send their school-aged children, and in particular females, to school. Participants on their part indicating that the social services provision institutions put in place in their area contributing in the improvement of the living standards of residents, expressed conviction to strengthen effort aimed at increasing student school enrollment. The participants further called for alleviation of challenges in transportation and potable water supply projects. The report finally stated that the governor of the northern Red Sea region, Mrs. Asmarat Abraha, encouraged youth health practitioners that are providing services in remote areas. Up next with your international news, do stay with us for more. And on your global report, a long-planned round of Australian-EU free trade talks have been postponed, and European officials confirmed on Friday after fury over Canberra's decision to cancel a major French submarine contact. An EU official in Canberra told AFP, throwing the future of the far-reaching pact into doubt, that the FTA trade round has been postponed for a month until November. Australia last month abruptly cancelled a multi-billion-dollar contract for 12 French submarines, opting to buy nuclear-powered U.S.-designed vessels instead. The decision prompted a major diplomatic spat with one of the EU's largest members and new appearances to have hit ties with the entire bloc. France has publicly decided it can no longer trust Australia's government, accusing officials of lying and questioning whether the trade agreement can go ahead. Australian Trade Minister Dan Tehan, who was scheduled to travel to Europe for the talks, played down the decision in a statement to AFP. Tehan indicated that he planned to meet EU Trade Commissioner Valdis Dombrovskis next week to discuss what would be a 12th round of negotiations. On your final report, the latest test comes days after North Korea launched a new hypersonic missiles, which is believed to have nuclear capabilities. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said that the tests created a greater prospect for instability and insecurity, in quotation. Pyongyang says its weapons are needed for self-defense, causing the U.S. and South Korea of double strands. The latest tests are being seen as a clear sign that Pyongyang has no intention on slowing down its weapons development despite strict sanctions. According to state news outlet KCNA, the new anti-aircraft missiles show remarkable combat performances and also including new key technologies. The test comes a day after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un extended a conditional olive branch towards the south, saying he wanted to restore a vital communication hotline between them. Mr. Kim, however, also accused the U.S. of taunting diplomatic engagement, but it is no more than a petty trick for deceiving the international community and hiding its hostile act. Some analysts believe that it is an indication that Pyongyang is keen to separate Washington and Seoul by pursuing a communication with South Korea and cutting off the U.S. However, it is possible that the North Korean will be counting on Seoul to push the U.S. for sanctions relief and for other concessions. North Korea has spent more than a year in isolation. However, it cuts off most trade with its closest ally, China, during the pandemic, and its economy is thought to be in a dire state with food shortages and a real concern. In March, the country defies sanctions and tested ballistic missiles, which targeted strong rebuffs from U.S., Japan, and South Korea. The last month of the UN Atomic Agency and North Korean appeared to have restated and restarted reactors which could produce polythenium for nuclear weapons, calling it a deeply troubling, in quotation, development. Dear viewers, that is all for now with your domestic and international news in brief. Until we are back with some more news, so stay and enjoy the rest of our programs. But until then, these are your major headlines for this broadcast and review. An announcement from the Ministry of Health as your primary domestic. And Ambassador Mohammed Suleiman held talks with the Ugandan Foreign Minister. EU postpones long-term and long-planned trade talks with Australia over submarine raw. And on your final report, North Korea says its test fired an anti-aircraft missile. That is all for now until we meet again. Thanks for watching and have a nice one.